Lost me love up on the Queen's Highway. Lost me love up on the Queen's Highway. Never get it back until the very next day. Me never get it back until the very next day.
Earlier today, I caught up with the Hammers' favourite Michail Antonio, and we spoke about what players taking the knee means to him.
Premier League players taking the knee is a massive thing, isn't it? And I want to congratulate you actually on your social media. I think you do it really well. There's always a really clear message when you're talking about some serious stuff like, you know, George Floyd's death and Black Lives Matter. How important is the solidarity among players who are all taking the knee in the Premier League?
I feel it's massive. So it shows that we are not hiding away from it. It shows that we are not accepting it. The Premier League has a massive fan base. The Premier League is just a massive company on its own. So to show the belief and shows that they're supporting the cause, it's just massive.
And I think you said in one of your posts that you don't have all the answers, but I do want to ask you what might be a tricky question for some. Premier League players, white and black, are taking the knee. Olivier Giroud yesterday in his goal celebration took the knee as well, came out afterwards. He said something beautiful about, you know, everybody should just love each other more. It was a simple message. Now, I mean, as a black man yourself, what do you want from a white man like me? I mean, I don't want to just wear a badge or repeat a slogan or wear a T-shirt. I want to know what I can do to make things more equal, to help the fight against racism.
The craziest thing is I had this discussion with my second mum. So when I was younger, my second mum and dad, Michail and Elvin, they had to go to my mum and say, look, your son's quality at football, and I feel like he needs to start playing football for a team for him to get an opportunity to become a footballer. So every Saturday, Sunday, used to pick me up, bring me to training, and then they bring me back to their house while my mum and dad was at church, and they fed me, looked after me until I went back to my mum and dad's. And I just had a baby recently, so she came and saw me to give me some stuff for my baby. And she said to me was, even though I know I'm not a racist, and she looked after me for the 7 years of my life, she was like, I don't feel like I'm doing enough to help the cause. And I went, only way for you to understand, for you to feel like you can help more, is to educate yourself on the situation. Before all this happened, I had to educate myself. I had to go and read some books because there was loads of stuff I didn't understand myself. And that's the only way you can know how to help, because just staying quiet is basically, you're not helping and you're not like, you're basically not helping at all. You're not helping the cause in any way, shape or form. So you might as well be against the cause. In my lifetime, I've obviously, as a professional footballer, I've had obviously nice cars and stuff. I've been pulled over multiple times, and their question to me is, how can you afford this car? And they wouldn't ask that to other people. So those are the type of things that we've had to go through in our life. And there's other things that has happened to me and my friends growing up, where I've asked other people, like other of my friends, my white friends, and they've never experienced these type of things. So those is all I'm just saying is basically go away, educate yourself, and that's how you can help us, by learning more, and then you'll be able to see in what ways you can help.
It was incredible stuff. A proper education in itself from Michail Antonio there.
What percentage of the black community are going to be cricketers or footballers? Less than 10%?
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
So if you're talking about needing to be inspired, because we need the cricketers and the footballers and the singers and the rappers and the actors to inspire the next generation, what about if you don't want to do that, of which 90% of people don't want to do that? Who's going to inspire them? That is why I say our leaders and our role models, unfortunately, should be, and I'll tell you why I say unfortunately in a minute, should be the politicians, the bankers, the businessmen, the intelligentsia, because we are now considered equal, and in many respects, contentious argument in terms of superior. You're looking at the 100 meters in the Olympics, for example, or boxers. So therefore, from a sporting perspective, this is what's expected of us. But can we think? and are we moral? And until we are considered moral and intellectually equal, we will never be equal. And it's fine to then point the finger at lots of sportsmen because this is what's expected of us. Now, management is different because management is about your intellect. And that is why no matter how many black footballers we have, until we change the perception of his moral and his intellect, nothing will change. Probably 30% black players in the league, and how many black managers are there? But this is the same and symptomatic of all industries in terms of our ability or the perception of our ability to think. And that is what we have to change. And as long as we keep focusing on the sporting or the acting or the singing and thinking we're going somewhere because they have more footballers and more actors and more singers, we then convince ourselves, lull ourselves into false sense of security in thinking it's all okay because now we're getting more representation in those industries. And that is where, for me, we have to change that attitude.
John, isn't that the same, though, for all? I mean, my children, I mean, that's where they look up to players, Premier League footballers. It doesn't matter what colour they are. They look to footballers and they watch them and they admire them. They look at singers and rap stars and actors and professional actors, and they admire them and they look up to them because of what they've achieved in their life. It's the dream, isn't it? It's the dream, what we all aim for.
Well, I don't think if you go to Eton Harrow and any of these schools where these are the people who are going to run the country and have all the wealth, I don't think they look up to footballers and actors and rappers. So therefore, you're looking at working class people who then say we love football and we love acting and we love rapping. But the people who really count in terms of the politicians who are running the country, I don't think Boris Johnson necessarily looked up to footballers. So, you know, there is a demographic of people who we're trying to inspire. And unfortunately, the movers and shakers and the leaders of the world, leaders of the country, aren't interested in singers and footballers. And that's what we're saying to our community. Now, it's fine for your kids because, of course, and your kids are white. But we're not talking about it being individual. We're talking about the whole. We're talking about a community. So when we're talking about from an individual perspective, yes, it's fine for an individual to look up to a black singer. But we're talking about from a community point of view and a collective point of view, we need more black...
Being more diverse.
And fill quotas and have affirmative action, positive discrimination, which unfortunately may be necessary. But that's not necessarily going to change people's perceptions. Now, until we start thinking about the unconscious bias that we all have, and I was listening to when people talk about it, and I heard you say about what can a white person do to change things, and you're talking about educating yourself. It depends on what your education is. And secondly, my most important point on this is that you have to look at yourself, and you have to say, do I really believe in equality? Do I really believe in equality? Because of what I've been wrongly told about different groups of people, women, gays, black people, Muslims. This is the way we have been conditioned to think unconsciously. So when you're asking what a person can do, don't point the finger at other people. Don't wait for someone to get caught like a Peter Beers or a Liam Neeson. Look at yourself and say, do I really believe in it? Because if you then are asked a question, if a manager was going to go to your football club, just to use football as an example, and he was a white person I've never heard of, or a black person or a Muslim I've never heard of, who would I have more faith in? And this is before you know their history, know who has more quality, and I think we know what the answer would be. Your initial thought would be, this person I think is better because of what I've been wrongly told about different groups of people. And until we can accept it within ourselves, we can never change. All we'll do is point the finger at people who get caught and say, that's terrible. That was a little 12-year-old racist fan at Tottenham, or, you know, the two racist football fans of Bulgaria. We have to look at ourselves.
John, in education, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome. All of it.
John Barnes. And it is Windrush Day. And as Michail Antonio said, as John Barnes just said, it's up to the individuals. We have to educate ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with going to find yourself a book or two or more, reading them and finding stuff out. That's just the start. This is talkSPORT.
Lost me love up on the Queen's Highway. Lost me love up on the Queen's Highway. Never get it back until the very next day. Me never get it back until the very next day. Me search down Kingston to Montego Bay. Search down Kingston to Montego Bay. Me can't find me girl named Faye. She must have gone with the boy